Holly from your past. Whoops, here's a gift. Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about feeling bad and feeling good. So for the most part, like I was talking before in the previous video, that I was angry all the time. Now, I have talked about anger being your friend. It's there to protect you. It's there to help you deal with what you've been through. This is what anger is for. The sadness and the fear are the same. If it's mainly those two that are strong in your life, if you feel sad usually, they're there to protect you. So the truth is, with the events that we've been through in the past, we've made decisions about ourselves that make us feel bad about who we are. Now, once we make these decisions, say for example, when my sister was born and I decided I was unwanted, that's a strong word, unwanted, invisible. From there, you go through life feeling unwanted, invisible. And every time a situation shows up that reminds you of that decision that you made, you'll flare up with your anger, or you'll flare up with your sadness, or you'll flare up with your fear, and you'll try and avoid it. You know, for a really long time, because of this sense of invisibility that I had, I spent a great part of my adult life not wanting to talk to adults, not wanting to have contact with adults. I could relate to children. They're very simple in how they talk, very simple with their thoughts. I could relate to them, and I didn't have a problem. But with adults, and you see also with children, all they want is to be seen and to be acknowledged and to, you know, be in that moment. I could understand that. I could understand that as a child. I couldn't, for the life of me, bring myself into situations with adults, of this interaction, of this getting too close to adults, you know, in the sense of, well, firstly, there was that fear that love's taken away, isn't it? So, you know, that I'd already created so early on in my life. So if I get too close to someone, too attached, they're just going to take their love away. Now, you know, I didn't want that feeling of being unwanted again by another adult. And children don't do that. If they love you, they love you. You know, they want to see you all the time. They want to share their stories with you all the time. They don't do that. They don't take away. You know, as long as you don't do anything to them to make them feel bad, they will always want to be with you, you know. So with an adult was different. And so I know what it feels like to spend a whole lifetime, you know, that you don't want to connect to others because you don't want to go through that hurt again of whatever that initial hurt was. Now, sometimes mine was very simple. You know, the pain that I went through, or what I decided so early in my life, was something very simple. It was a very simple event that took place. For others, it's more complicated than that, because there can be events in your life where it's not just it's not about being unwanted. It's about things that happen to you that make you feel ashamed of who you are. And feeling ashamed is a big one, because when you're ashamed, then you don't want to let other people in. You definitely don't want to connect. You don't want people to see who you are because you're ashamed of who you are. And I know this one because this is what happened to my mum. And my mum, very little, she lost her parents when she was 5 and ended up going to live with an aunt. And this aunt was not very nice to her. She already had kids of her own, and she was taking on all these extra siblings, you know, my mum and her siblings. There's too many mouths to feed. It was too much of a responsibility. And my mum was made to feel like she was a burden, always. You know, that she wasn't wanted, she was a burden. And, you know, she went through her whole life feeling ashamed of who she was because she had lost her mum and her dad so little, you know. And then coming into this house, and they made her feel that she was a burden. She was an extra mouth to feed, and always throwing that in her face. So I know how horrible that feels and how much you want to connect to others. You really do. But you always find a reason. There's always an excuse to step back, to push away. I've watched it my whole life with my parents, you know. So shame is a really hard one that you have to really look at, and you have to really understand where that came from. Why did you decide, that you're ashamed of who you are? Because in truth, as a child, you can't do any wrong. There's nothing that you can do, because you're just learning from your environment. Whatever's going on around you, you're learning from that. You're picking that up. You're absorbing that. So you're not born with all of these things. They're given to you. So understand that if someone's done something or said something to you that's made you feel ashamed of who you are, that's because that's them. They're ashamed of who they are, and they've passed that on to you. But you can make a choice today, you can make a decision today that you don't have to be ashamed anymore. Because you have a lot to give to others. You can connect once you let go of that shame. You can connect on a deeper level, on a meaningful level with others. But you just need to work through that shame. Understand it. Once you understand that you were never at fault, you were never to blame for what's happened to you in your childhood, then you can let it go. Then you can start to see the truth of it. You can start to see your innocence in everything that's happened. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with that thought for today. So remember to click like and subscribe below so you don't miss any of the messages that are coming your way. Because the next one might be the one that turns it all around for you in your head. All right? And helps you on the path. All right, my lovelies. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.